Hello again, it's Noob, and I'm so excited to be able to show off another project I've been working on with Multipick for some time now. And before I carry on, the items in this video were given to me by Multipick for this review. It's not a paid advert though, so all thoughts are my own. I have worked with Multipick before, and I probably will do in the future. I don't get any profit shares or anything like that, so I'm not trying to sell you anything. Whether you buy something or not makes no difference to me. And I think that's all the disclosures I need to give. So let's carry on. So what is this mysterious item? You probably already know from the title and the thumbnail, but let's assume that you don't know. Well, you may have seen this set in my videos, and this is Multipick's Dimple lock pick set. And I do use this quite a lot, not exclusively, but quite a lot. But one thing I always have liked in this set, as well as the picks, are these tension tools. Why do I like these tension tools? Well, they come in just some really handy sizes. You'll see here the sorts of different widths or heights here. I think two of these sort of match up, but one is a little thinner than the other. And then on the other end, we've got a really thin one and a slightly thicker one. I think that's like 2 mils and 2.5, something like that. I can't quite remember. Then we have a tapered one. And these are really strong, like really strong. And I and a lot of other pickers really like to put quite a lot of tension on Dimple locks. I'm not quite sure why, but they just respond better that way in my experience. And these are great. But I always thought it'd be nice to have, as well as these, some more Dimple lock tensioners from Multipick. Like I said, I really like these, and there are some really good things about them, but I just wanted more. So before we show off the new things, let me just show you some of the reasons why I like these tension tools. So you know, if I've got like a multi-lock classic here, you can see that tension tool goes in. So this is the I think it's the thickest one. No, it's not quite. So I can get a really nice thick tension tool like that and pop it all the way down the keyway, just like that. And you can see that it provides some really nice tension. However, if I wanted to use a thinner end, maybe this one, so I had a bit more space between the pins and where I put my pick, so you know I have better pick placement. Maybe on the outer pins on this, because in pin lock rather than the inner pins. I might want to move my tension tool just out of the way, so I might use this nice thin end and just tuck it out of the way like that to provide tension. The problem with the thin end is that it doesn't actually go that far down into the lock, which means that by the time I get to pins 4 and 5 here, if I'm picking down, let's choose a pick like this, you'll see that using that tension tool as a guide is good until I get past that point, and then my pick can drift a little bit. If you pick a lot of Dimple locks, you'll know what I mean. Being able to have so much goes down the full length of the keyway to the final pin just really helps in keeping that consistent pin placement. So, like I said, for a lot of the time, these Dimple picks just work brilliantly, and I do use these all the time. But on the odd occasion where you just want something a bit smaller or even a bit longer, so we want something smaller in terms of height or width, if you like, but a bit longer, or even a bit longer on the other end, these don't just quite make it. These shorter tension ends, however, I have found indispensable in my kit for locks like this, which are like vending machine Dimple locks. Even a thin, large end just won't get down through that warding, while a small end, let's choose this one, will slide down really nicely, and because of the depth of the lock, reach the final pin. So like I said, these are really great tension tools, but they didn't cover all of my use cases. Which is where these came in. There's so much I liked about these Z-wrench type tools that I wanted to sort of replicate in terms of the thicknesses, in terms of the widths here. So we have 1.3 and 1.5 millimeters in terms of the thickness. You can see that this is 1.5 millimeters, very strong, very thick. And I've got that across this whole range. So 1.3, 1.5, 1.3, 1.5. But I've also replicated the thin ends of these tools as well, just made them a bit longer. So we have the 2.5 millimeters, 3 millimeters, and the 4 millimeters here. Now, yes, you could have all sorts of different widths, but I found that these are the ones which I tend to use the most. You also notice they've got a little dog leg here, an angle which kicks out. That's an 8-degree angle off, so that's an 8-degree angle there. And I find that, again, that replicates the angle on here, and that's just really nice. It just gives you that extra little bit of clearance. Also, I made the handles longer, which means that when I'm tensioning something in hand, then my fingertip can rest a lot more nicely on the tool and provide a lot more leverage. So I'll demonstrate a couple of locks, or picking a couple of locks, but I will show you what I mean about the widths and depths here and how they can be useful. So here is a multi-lock integrator, very common Dimple lock. And this is a really good one to show off how these tools can be very useful, because if you look here, look, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pins in this, and they do go in quite deep. Let's grab one of these tools, and you'll see that if I put that here, it doesn't quite reach down all the way to the 7th pin. Especially if you had an escutcheon, especially if this was in a padlock that was recessed like this. Okay, so maybe I will choose something a bit longer that will go all the way down the keyway. That's very useful, but I'm choosing the thickest one here. Will that fit? No, it won't. Okay, so maybe I'll choose the thinner one. Does that fit? Yes, it does. And that's great if I'm probably going to, if I've got a very small dimple pick, or I'm picking tensioning anti-clockwise. But what if I want to pick with my dimple flag down here? Well, I've then got two thinner options here. This one does fit in, of course, but it doesn't really give us as much clearance because of this little warding ledge there. So I then get this one, which is a bit thinner again, and look, perfect. I've now got all this space in the keyway to use a flag to curve around this warding here. And again, it's thin and it goes all the way down the keyway. It gives me that full length of the keyway control, and just very, very useful. A similar story with the Yale Superior or the Milenico Magnum, whatever the variant is. And you can see that with this one, we have a nice wide keyway. We can put in the 1.5 millimeter thick tool, and that's great, tension both ways. However, if I want to have a bit more space, I'll just drop down to the 3 millimeter tool, and it will slide down, and look, it just stays behind this warding ledge just there. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? And these locks, I think, can have up to 9 pins, so can be quite long. So having a tool which can reach all the way down into that keyway, again, super helpful. I mentioned locks with escutcheons and also recessed keyways, and this is another multi-lock actually. But yeah, with the interactive elements as multi-lock interactive. And you can see here that I've got quite a long way to go before I even reach the lock itself. So this extra length can go straight down and give you all of that tension control. And again, I can go a bit smaller if I want to as well, to give me a bit more room in the keyway and act as a guide to the inner or outer pins as I wish. For dimple locks with gnarly, really restrictive keyways like the Abus Extra Class and Caesar Astral Star keyways, you know, you might struggle to find a tension tool which can fit in here. I also like the thickest, widest tool I can for the most part, for that strength to provide the torque I like to put on these locks, that tension control. But you know, even working down these tools, it might be hard to find one that fits. But again, get the one here. This is the 1.3 millimeter by 2.5 millimeter one. Just pop that in, and look, I've got really good tension control, just like that. And I've still got plenty of space in the keyway to put my curved picks to pick around that really gnarly warding. So the first lock I want to pick is this Avocet Pioneer Plus 6 pins, plus trap pins, but we won't fall into that trap pin set on this review. But yeah, very nice little lock, this one to pick. And the keyway is such that I can put in this 1.5mm by 4mm tool. Look at that, straight in. The control that gives you in that keyway is superb, meaning that I could pick from the left hand side here using a flag which is right-handed or a left-handed flag, and tension the opposite way. So it gives you so many options, really. It's amazing. I'm going to actually probably pick this way round. So yeah, so I'm just going to go in and just tap the tops of any pins which are binding. I think I feel pin 6 there, and just keep going through, passing the pins. That's pin 2 there, and anything that's pin 5, pin 3's binding now, a little click. Pin 1 is, I'll get onto that a bit better. Nice click, hear that? And then, oh, and we're into a bit of a false set, which means I've got to be very careful what I press next. And I think that it's pin 4. And there we go, we've got the open. I think really I want to pick this multi-lock integrator, 7 pins, tricky pick, but really good fun. And this is a good example of where a nice thick tension tool fits, but isn't right because it restricts where I can put the pick for picking. So I'm just going to swap out for a thinner one. Again, it can go all the way down the keyway, all to 7 pins, and it acts as a sort of a stop and a guide for my pick as well. What more could you ask for? So yeah, we're just going to go along and pick pin 1 there, 2, little click, 3, maybe something, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, back to the beginning. 1, 2, 3, little click now, 4, 5, 6, binding a little bit, 7. Okay, back through again. Pin 1 is set, 2, pin 3, 4, 5, 6, binding a little heavy now, and a little click, 7, little click after that. Okay, back through. So pin 1, pin 2 now, little click, 3, 5, pin 6, little click, and back through again. And we're just going to go through, tapping the tops of the pins, just seeing where we haven't set something, and then you know, really pushing down on that pin, just like any other lock, really. Pin 6 and pin 7 at the back. Thought I'd overset something, so just release some of the tension. And oh, we got the open there, look at that. I wanted to finish on a padlock. I was only going to do 2 locks, but I was having sort of fun, and I really wanted to do something a bit different, so I thought I'd do a padlock. This is a good example of where a really thick tool, but with the thin tip, can just work wonders in that lock. Look how it just slides in. I don't even need to put it in all the way. You know, it can go. It's quite a deep keyway, this one, but that's enough. And I'm going to pick this side. So I've got all that lovely tension control, and I can, yeah, just slide the pick down the lock like this as I go, like that. Lovely job. And I can just, I'm already into a deep full set. Look at that, just by running the pick gently down the tops of these pins. And then I'm going to try and pick all the spools as we go. Pin 1 now is binding, pin 2 is binding. That's pin 1, pin 2 now. There we go, pin 1 just dropped. Pin 3 I can feel needs to be just counter rotated slightly. There we go, but 1's just popped up again. Then pin 4 here, bit of counter rotation, but we've dropped a couple of pins here, so go back and work our way back down to 1 into that full set. Pin 2, just reset that one I think, and back to pin 1 again. So just set pin 2, there we go, pin 1. It's good sign this lock does this. And then really it's just a case of finding that last pin, feels like it's pin 6 at the back, and that's set, but again pin 1 just dropped up, and we have that open. Listen, lovely, and there's the shackle all free. What a lovely pick. So there you go. As you can see, very effective tensioning or turning tools. Now, in my videos, I normally like to give pros, cons, and things I'd like to change. But since I was intimately involved in the design specification of these, I actually don't think I can, because they are exactly as I have specified them. So they work as I had intended. You know, I find that this extra length on the tips means I can use them as a guide all the way down the keyway to the final pins in those deeper keyways. They really fit well in those locks set behind escutcheons and have deeper set keyways, especially in padlocks and things like that. The extra length of the handles just helps me control the tension a little bit more. It's just a bit more comfortable, I find, as well. So they work exactly as I intend. Does that mean that they will replace these in my kit? No, absolutely not. I see them very, very much as an addition. Sometimes you get locks with shorter keyways for whatever reason, and these longer tips are just not suitable. They stick out a bit too much to my taste on some of these much smaller locks. So just having this set and this set is really, really useful, sort of together, so you get the best of both worlds. That's my opinion anyway, and I'm really happy that I can add these to my Dimple lock tension tools, because I just know I'm going to be using them all the time. I really am. Anyway, look, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you've got any comments about these tools, what you think of them, whether you think it's a good addition or not, whether you like them or not, please leave a comment below. I read them all and I reply to as many as I can. If you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out. And of course, I'll see you all next time.